Sora's narrative debut, Happyend, is set in a very near-future dystopia. A science fiction dystopia, however, that doesn't look too dissimilar from our own world as it stands today. In this very near-future Tokyo, we follow 5 music-obsessed high school friends on the verge of graduation who are just trying to find their way in the haze of an increasingly fascist government, wherein mass surveillance and control prohibits them from being able to live their lives their way. We first meet this band of youth outcasts as they attempt to sneak into an underground techno club, their first moment of defiance in a movie filled to the brim with it. This group of teens are all from wildly different backgrounds. You have the core duo of childhood best friends, Yuta, himself an aspiring electronic musician, and the Korean-Japanese Ku. Surrounding them are the defiant Tatar, the African-Japanese Tomu, and the Chinese-Japanese Ming. Each of these characters are outsiders in their own ways, many due to their heritage and racial backgrounds, alongside their defiance against authoritarian rule. Against this fraught backdrop of youth rebellion, their senior year at school is also defined by the looming threat of an earthquake. We see phone emergency alerts warning everyone of what's to come, which in turn also gives their government all the more reason to expand its control and militarize the police. The kid's school principal and his right-hand man then see this as an opportunity to introduce a facial recognition security system that serves to observe and automatically deduct points from each student, affecting their academic performance if they see any behavior they don't like. Fed up of watching this from the sidelines is Fumi, a student activist, who Ku meets and sparks in him an interest in politics. This causes a rift between him and his childhood best friend, as their relationship ebbs and flows over time, each coming into their own, determining what kind of individuals they want to be post-high school. While the film is kind of sold as a work of dystopian science fiction, I'd say Happyend is maybe more along the lines of speculative fiction, imagining a world that looks nearly identical to contemporary Tokyo, with its sterile concrete blocks, and possesses many of today's socio-political anxieties. The emerging surveillance state, xenophobia, our increasingly limited freedoms, among many other ideas. But the interesting angle at which Sora tackles these ideas is through music, namely electronic music, using it as his character's escape from and resistance to this new regime. Which shouldn't be too surprising to those who have seen Sora's breakout feature from 2023, Ryuichi Sakamoto Opus, a documentary about his late father's final performance. Music is this intrinsic part of his life, and to see it so beautifully embodied in this film was quite moving to me. The music these kids listen to is deemed a threat throughout the film, something that will steer them in the wrong direction. For instance, the rave from the opening of the film is quickly shut down by the police, and the music room at their high school is closed because it's a so-called danger to the youth. These are both spaces where young people feel at peace, allowed to just exist and wholeheartedly be themselves. But to the older generations, these are places that could allow the youth to get brainwashed by nonconformist ideas, in which the young are now able to see through their government's lame excuses that what they're imposing is in place to ensure the collective safety, security, and economic prosperity of their society. As the opening title card of the film states, the systems that define people are crumbling, but I have a feeling that something big is going to change. Despite the fact that Happyend has many of these heavy ideas on its mind, those never overtake the real heart and soul of the movie, as it is still at its center about how all of these socio-political underpinnings impact the 5 friends, their relationships with one another, and their outlooks for the future. Helping to enliven this is the work of cinematographer Bill Kirsten, whose futuristic cityscapes and really elegant static long shots bring an emotional richness to a text that very easily could be read as flat. Accompanied with the film's magical score, we're really drawn into this vision of the future that we could inhabit for hours. The students who fill out this world are largely all played by non-professional actors, imbuing these characters with an authenticity that maybe wouldn't have felt so believable with more trained performers. But the script also does a really great job at not over-intellectualizing many of its heady ideas, to keep everything on an even level with its teen protagonists. It's also loaded with small, graceful moments, these evocative minor key scenes that help bring shape to each individual character, without compromising any of the themes around these characters. Because Sora paints a picture of the future defined by 2 things, resignation and rebellion. using his two main characters, Utah and Ku, as vehicles for this. Over the course of the film, they steadily distance themselves away from each other, both physically and ideologically. The latter becomes more politically motivated, while the former keeps quiet, isolated in his apolitical corner of the world. And these are the two directions we could take in our very near future. We could keep quiet, turn a blind eye to those who continue to sow fear and exert further control on us, or speak up and speak out. Sora laces Happyend with equal doses of anxiety, skepticism, and hope. He has made a movie that really resonates, reminding us that film can still be sleek, stylish, and vibrant, and also an honest, pure-hearted act of resistance.